How's it going, everybody? It is Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL stream. And today we're going to be taking a look at how horrible Game Week 16 was with the couple of blanks for some people. Some people got quite lucky with the players that came off their bench. My team did pretty good overall. I did have my wildcard active for this game week, and we're also going to be taking a look at Game Week 17 and what we can potentially expect going into it with, COVID hitting a bunch of different teams and potentially having blanks in future game weeks. I don't know what they're going to do because there's a lot of fixtures that need to be played in very little time. So we'll see what they have to do in order to get that sorted out. And we'll be taking a look, as per normal, as our differential picks, as well as our clean sheets, as well as our predictions for the game week. So without further ado, I'm already late by 10 minutes or so let's get straight into it. Alright, so as you can see, 59 points for my team. Did quite well, actually, all things considered. It's 57 points on the screen, as you can see there. But James Justin will come in for João Cancelo, who had a blank game week. So that's kind of the main discussion point. City versus Everton. Heard that there was going to be, rumors that the game could be called off. And it was. Same for the Spurs Fulham game. Jose Mourinho posting on Instagram saying that, he's, was waiting on the game and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it was quite interesting. But luckily for me, the Leeds players played, and I ended up getting 24 points from the three of them, which is quite good. No return for back-to-back captaincy weeks for Mohamed Salah from me. Overall, though, did quite well in terms of what points I got from Liverpool, because I ended up getting with 18 points. Some people probably didn't even get 18 points in their entire team, so could have been a lot worse. Fernandez obviously getting another assist. Charlie Taylor coming off very early on, could have potentially had a clean sheet had he stayed on for 60 minutes. Nick Pope doing quite well. James Justin will come in. Potentially could have. Luckily I had a captain. Some people captain both Son and then vice captain Kane, or vice versa, and then ended up with no captain. But I did see, I think it was, I saw it over on Twitter, and basically he had that same situation and ended up with like 90 points. So exactly. Thoughts on how Tom Brady did this week? I don't know. I don't watch NFL, but I know that the Steelers won a game. I do know that. So, yeah, I think they're in the playoffs or whatever. I don't really pay attention to Hand Egg or NFL or whatever. But yeah, 59 points overall. Not too bad. Not too bad overall. Obviously, in hindsight, would have definitely captained one of my Leeds players, and in hindsight, would have played Souček over Chris Wood. 51 points isn't too bad. Is 59 massive? Well, the average for the players in the top 10,000 positions were around 47-ish, so it's quite good. In terms of the overall average, I think it's going to end up being around like 37, 38. So like I said, luckily I had 3 Leeds boys, plus the double Cress and Chilwell. So yeah, that worked out quite good. How many rank spots did I jump? Well, I was 1.6-ish million out of, I think it's like 7.5 million players at the moment, and I went up to 1.27 million, so not too bad. Trying to look to overall goal to get into the top 10k by the end of the season. Last season finished 33k out of the 7+ million, so looking to potentially do better than that this season, but overall not going as planned. Tokes417, thank you for the follow, much appreciated. But yeah, a lot of people having a lot of donuts on their scores. So yeah, was a bit of an issue for some people. I was quite fortunate because had the Liverpool game not gone through due to the same reason the Spurs and Fulham game didn't go through, then I would have had 18 less points basically, or at least 15 less points, because Souček would have came in. Kufal didn't play, but I would have had no Robertson, no Mane, no Salah, which is a large portion of some of the points. Same with Leeds. Had Leeds not played, I would have lost 24 points. Obviously with hindsight, but let's take a look at how the scores went down. So there was actually only 8 fixtures this week. So my predictions for some of them are going to be wrong because they didn't obviously play. But basically how I do the predictions is if I get the exact score right, I get 3 points. If I get, the same result right, so I predicted a draw, but maybe it was 2-2 instead of 1-1 or something like that, then I get 1 point. If I predict the result completely wrong, so I predicted a draw or a loss and it was a win, I get 0 points. So we kind of do this every week, and we see how good we get. And typically an average week would be me predicting at least half the results right and getting an exact score right, one of them at least. So let's see how we did. Leicester, I predicted 2-0 over Crystal Palace, ended up being 1-1, so not really a good prediction there, so no points. Chelsea and Aston Villa was a draw, just not 2-2, it was 1-1, so we get 1 point. City and Everton didn't play. Brighton versus Arsenal, I predicted a 1-0 win for Arsenal, and they ended up winning 1-0. Same with Burnley and Sheffield United, so we got 2 exact scores right, which is way better than what we usually do. Southampton and West Ham, I predicted 2-1, it ended up being 0-0, so nothing there. Leeds 3-1 over West Brom, ended up being 5-0, which was something that probably not a lot of people predicted, so we get 1 point. United 2-1 over Wolves, it ended up being 1-0, so we get a point there. Fulham and Spurs was cancelled, did not play, and Newcastle versus Liverpool ended up being a 0-0 draw. Am I betting on the games? Nope, but if somebody wants to take my advice, they are more than welcome to do so. It has mixed results, I would say. And do gamble responsibly. Clean sheet, Burnley did quite well. Pope also did well. Castagne didn't do too hot. Benrahma didn't even play. And Aguero didn't play either. So in terms of differentials, 2 out of 5. Not ideal, but we got 1, 2, 3, 9 points total, which is pretty good. Overall. I'm going to feed my family off you or into the red. Stay tuned. Yeah, I will definitely stay tuned for that. But yeah, 9 points is quite good because that means if I had at least guessed the results right out of 9 out of the 10 games, I would have got 1 point for each of them. So not too bad. 2 exact scores is quite difficult to pick overall, but the surprise of the week was obviously the teams that didn't play because of because of COVID. Leeds beating up on West Brom that badly. Didn't expect it that badly. Newcastle taking points off Liverpool. Will definitely take that. It's probably the best result based on the number of points I could get. So basically Salah would have been a maximum of 3 in a 0-0 draw. Mane would have been 3 as well, who I also had in Robertson getting a clean sheet and 3 bonus points is exactly the amount of points, the max amount of points I could have got without Liverpool actually scoring. And then dropping points to Newcastle, which is perfect. So I got the best of both worlds, because now if United win versus Aston Villa, and then Liverpool win their next game, which is against Southampton, then United goes into that game with a game in hand versus Liverpool in game week 19, their first game in game week 19, with the ability to go top of the league with a game in hand. So that would be nice. But for our predictions for this week, bring over the old notepad here. So now this is assuming that all the fixtures are going to be played, because it was Fulham and Man City were the 2 teams that were basically the reasons why the Spurs versus Fulham game and the Man City versus Everton game didn't go through, was because that they had an increased number of cases in their facilities, players, all sorts. Basically, anyone within that type of sporting bubble was basically compromised in a sense. I think City had 4 or 5 players. Still don't know the exact number on the number of Fulham players, but it was enough to basically, throw caution to the wind and basically call off the game, or at least ask for it to be rescheduled. Now there is also a chance, because apparently the City and Chelsea game is supposed to be good for this weekend Sunday, as well as Fulham, who would play Burnley. Apparently they're supposed to be okay for those fixtures on Sunday. But initially it was a bit of a scare, because if City had to close for the same amount of time that Newcastle's facilities closed down for, which was close to 2 weeks, they have a cup fixture versus United, and if they're not able to field a team, they would have had to forfeit the game, which could still potentially happen, but very unlikely to do so. And that would have mean United would have gone straight to the final of the Carabao Cup, which would have been interesting. But unlikely for that to potentially happen. But on to the predictions. Everton versus West Ham. So I think Everton should win the game. They've had a little bit more, a few more days off. West Ham, not really threatening versus Southampton, whose defense is basically just their goalkeeper, really, without their, one of their main starting center backs. I think Everton will definitely score in the game. I'm not convinced that West Ham will score. I think Everton will probably win the game 1-0 probably, but it could go 1-0 either way, to be perfectly honest, because West Ham can show up on the day and defend against anyone. But I'm going to go 1-0 Everton just because they've had a little bit more rest. Man United versus Villa. Now, this could go one of two ways. This can be a blasting for either team, to be perfectly honest, because Aston Villa like to attack and United like to attack, and both of them are very hit or miss with their defense. United in particular. Aston Villa, again, are basically bailed out by the goalkeeper. United are mostly bailed out by their goalkeeper. And both the defenses aren't great. I'm going to go for a higher scoring game. I'm going to shade it just to United. I'm going to go 3-2 on that front. But wouldn't be surprised to see any scoreline from 0-0 to 5-5. Anywhere in that range, it could be anything basically, but I predict it's probably going to be on the higher scoring end. Also, I think Aston Villa have Ross Barkley back, who's has been a big miss for them, but somebody that can definitely drive with the ball and cause problems. Spurs versus Leeds. This is going to be pretty straightforward for Spurs, I think. They have a couple extra days off now because of them not being able to play versus Fulham. But pretty much what Jose Mourinho is going to do to set up Spurs is going to set them up in a very low block, close to the 18-yard box. Leeds are just going to absolutely bombard them. And if Spurs hold out, they'll hit them on the break. So it's either going to be like 1-0 or 2-0 Spurs, or Leeds are going to beat them like 5-0. But I think the extra couple of days off will see Spurs through. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Spurs. In before 0-0 on Man United. That's usually how it works, to be honest. Like, usually when it's like the big teams, like, oh yeah, like Chelsea United. It's like both teams' defenses are crap. They're going to be absolutely going at each other's throats. End up being the most boring 0-0 you've ever seen in your life. And you probably would never want to watch TV if that was the only thing you'd watched ever. So, it is what it is sometimes. Crystal Palace versus Sheffield United. This could easily be a 0-0, perfectly honest. But I think Crystal Palace will end up shading it 1-0 as well. Sheffield United just can't score goals, and they've only got 2 points from, 15 games this season? So they've gotten 2 draws and 13 losses, whatever it is. So, not ideal. Not ideal at all. Brighton versus Wolves. I think Wolves will definitely score in this game. Can they potentially keep Brighton out? I mean, they kept United out for a long time, but Brighton are similar in how they attack to like United in a sense. They create more chances than United, but they're not as clinical, whereas United don't create as many chances but are more clinical, so it's a bit weird. I think it's probably going to be a similar-ish result for Wolves. I'm going to go 2-0 in favor of them over Brighton. West Brom versus Arsenal. This could be a 0-0 draw as well. Arsenal don't score very many goals. They only scored 1 versus Brighton. West Brom have just come off a 5-0 drumming from Leeds, so they're going to want to obviously shape themselves back up and at least get a point here. And West Brom is, under Sam Allardyce, is a very good defensive team. They took a point off Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of game weeks ago, I should say. And I think that they can definitely do that. I'm going to go for another 1-1 score line here for West Brom against another considered Big Six team. Burnley versus Fulham. If this game goes through, I think it's going to be pretty similar scoreline to how they played it versus Sheffield United. I think it's just going to be another 1-0. Newcastle versus Leicester. I think Newcastle being at home, showing that they're defensively sound versus Liverpool. I think that's going to give them a bit more confidence. But I think that will definitely leave them a bit more open. They'll try to be a bit more expansive. I can see Leeds potentially getting 2 goals on the break, or Leicester rather, getting 2 goals on the break and beating Newcastle. Chelsea versus City, again, not typically very high scoring. City having the a couple of games off, or a couple of days off rather, and Chelsea having to rotate quite heavily. I think it's only like 2 points in the last like 5 games or something like that. Let's actually take a quick peek at that. So last game they played, they drew. The game before that, they lost to Arsenal. The game before that, they beat West Ham. Okay, so it's 4 points in their last 3 games. Then they lost to Wolves. Then before that, they lost to Everton, and then they beat Leeds. So very, very bit of a mixed bag for them. 4 points in 5. There you go. So not a great run of form at all. And typically these are quite low scoring, and Chelsea not being able to take chances. I think City definitely could, stifle them defensively, even though I don't think the defense is that good. But Chelsea missing chances the way they do, I can see them potentially not being able to basically keep a clean sheet, especially if they have Reece James out and Chilwell out and maybe Thiago Silva. He's probably going to play this game, but is Zuma going to come back in? Are they going to be as defensively solid as what they were before this bad run? Who knows? I'm going to edge it towards City. I'm going to say that they win this game by 2-0. Southampton versus Liverpool. I think this plays into Liverpool's hands. I think that Southampton have been struggling for goals, and I think Liverpool will get back on track and they'll end up winning the game by 2-0. For the clean sheet for this week, I think it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to go with Crystal Palace. They're against Sheffield United. They're at home. Should see no problems there getting a clean sheet. No problems at all. Chelsea would have won against Aston Villa if the referee had eyes, and Grealish wouldn't play like an ass. I don't want to say it, but yeah, I mean, he is like, that's what Jack Grealish does, to be honest. Like, he is the most foul player in the league, and he's good at winning fouls, which is basically what he wants to do. He wants to win fouls. He wants to get people booked. He wants to rile them up. He wants to get under their skin. He's getting an advantage for himself over the others. If he can get them booked, oh yeah, he's annoying. He's definitely annoying. No doubt about it. Goalkeeper for this week. I mean, he just saved a penalty in their last game, and I think Guaita is somebody who is probably gonna be in for another good scoring this week. Yep, Zaka says it correctly. Guaita is definitely one that's gonna be in there, unless I spelt it wrong. I don't even know how you spell his name. Let's see. Guai. Okay. Guai. Okay, got it right. Defense this week. Who's going to be a potentially good defender for this week? I think there's a good chance. I think his name is Peters for Burnley. He could potentially have a clean sheet this week, and he could be playing like left mid, which is quite good. And he's cheaper than Charlie Taylor, who's 4'6" and potentially injured. He's cheaper than Loughton, who's 4'4" and is starting at right back. So he could potentially be a very astute pick if you're swapping Taylor for somebody. I'm certainly looking at him because they have so many injuries that he's going to almost certainly have to play. And could get some attacking returns. Although Burnley don't really score, but, you know, is definitely better paying a cheaper cost for somebody who is a defender and is playing higher up the pitch. Just makes more sense. In midfield, Eze is a potentially a good shout as well. Actually, let's go with it. I think that could be a very, very astute pick. He's versus Sheffield United, you know, had his rest, and is most likely to play and do some serious damage. In the forward line, I think that it could be interesting, but I think that somebody who hasn't really been able to, you know, shine for a while in terms of like getting on the goal scoring form is Patrick Bamford. He is not really a differential pick. Joel Linton, yeah, no thanks. But I'm going to put Bamford on here just because some people may be potentially losing faith with him because he's not scoring as much. But you have to remember that Leeds are a team that are going to have a potential... I know I can't really put him as... let's not put him as a differential. You know what? We'll go with his other counterpart, Rodrigo. He's definitely a differential. I know that for a fact. How well in is he? Zelo, 2.6%. How much is Bamford? 48.5%. There we go. That's a little bit better. But Leeds are going to potentially score versus Spurs. I'm hoping that it's not a typical 2-1, 2-0 Jose Mourinho performance for Spurs. I hope it's Leeds get ahead early, they compound that lead, and then they keep going, and then they embarrass Spurs. Because if Spurs don't get the lead initially, it's not a good ride for them, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, we'll go with Rodrigo. The chat has convinced me not to pick a 48.5% owned player as a differential pick, which would make sense. Now, moving on to the team this week. Actually, let me check to see if they've added the subs in. They have not yet. So this is what the team looks like for this week. It's a bit of a... potentially a bit difficult because, as we mentioned, Burnley play Fulham, which could potentially also be called off. It's still in question, but they're thinking that this game, as well as the City versus Chelsea game, could go through. However, if the Fulham game were to not go through, and the City game were to not go through, then I would have 4 players out. I would still have a goalkeeper come in. I would have Soucek come in for Chris Wood, and I would have Kufal come in for Taylor. So I would be without... I'd be fine, actually. Yeah, because Soucek will come in for Wood, Kufal will come in for Taylor, and Johnson will come in for Pope. And then I would have blanks basically all on my bench. So if that does happen, if both those games are off, then I'm fine, assuming Justin, Robertson, Rafinha, Mane, Salah, Fernandes, Bamford, Rodrigo all play. In terms of captaincy this week, probably on Bruno Fernandes, just because the dude doesn't stop scoring. So he's had 1 blank in game week 2. Then he blanked twice versus Chelsea and Arsenal. Then he blanked versus Sheffield and Man City, although United did win versus City. So he's blanked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times out of 16 game weeks. And the last couple of weeks he's gotten 17, 12, and 6. He is at home, so it's a bit trickier. But I mean, he's got tied for his biggest points total at home versus Leeds, and Villa are going to be a team that will defend a little bit better than Leeds for sure. But they're not going to be, as crazy attacking. They're still going to attack and they're still going to leave spaces, but it's just a matter of how much space. And in recent weeks, Fernandes has not been as on point in terms of his performance. He has been still getting returns. But we will have to see. Burnley versus United, Fulham versus Chelsea, and Burnley versus Liverpool can be moved to game week 18. We can actually take a look at that. Let's take a look at that really quickly. So right now, what fixtures can be moved into here? So Everton versus City can't be moved into here because there's already a game in there. And this is already a short, and the turnaround's already pretty quick. So it's like game week 17 ends on the Monday. Game week 18 is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, with game week 19 starting on the Friday. So the only fixture that is available that they could put in here is United versus Burnley, which I think they should do. If the cup game is off. But if the Carabao Cup game's on, then you can't move that fixture in here. That can possibly mean Spurs against Fulham and Sheffield in 19. Yeah, that'd be crazy. That would be crazy. If that was the case, that'd be a bit of a problem. Because having to get in Harry Kane and Son for those two fixtures would be a slight issue in terms of in terms of getting them in my team without taking large amounts of hits. So if we were to take a look at that, the only way I'd be able to do it realistically, if I wanted Kane, Mane has to leave, and then Chris Wood or Rodrigo comes out, and then I put in Kane up front, and then that goes to some cheap midfielder. And then Son would come in for somebody. Or alternatively, I could just go Mane straight to Son if I wanted to. That is another option. So if I went from Mane to Son, I need an extra 2 million somewhere basically to get so I could go Robertson to what, Reece James? Yeah. So I could do a -8 in that case if I wanted to get Son and Kane in, but that would mean sacrificing Mane, who also has a double game week. And Robertson, who also has a double game week. So it's going to be a bit weird on what they can and cannot do. Fulham versus Chelsea can also be moved to game week 18. Yeah, they could do that. And then Chelsea would have a single game week. But they would need to know about that sooner rather than later, because Chelsea... Well, I mean, they could also just say, yeah, Chelsea and Fulham, you're playing on the Friday, but it's in game week 18 rather than in game week 19. Like, they could do a bunch of different things. But I think game weeks start on Fridays for whatever reason. Not sure why, but this season is possible. Like, yeah, you literally, like, this is probably going to be, whoever wins is probably going to end up with, like, either some ridiculously high points total, or it's just going to be, like, a lot lower because of, like, hits and all that sort of stuff. Like, because you don't want to be, like, whoever's free hitting in game week 19 is looking real good. So there's going to be a lot, like, so if I look at my team right now for 18, what players do I have that can play? So do I have any Crystal Palace or Arsenal players? Nope. Do I have any Aston Villa or Spurs players? Nope. City and Brighton? I have one City player. Do I have any Wolves and Everton? Nope. Sheffield United, Newcastle? Nope. So there's a possibility that City could also have a double game week in 19 as well. So there's many different ways you can slice it. The problem is that we need to know it sooner rather than later. And I think they're trying to figure it out before the next game week even starts. 19 will more likely be a single game week. Yeah, I mean, it all depends. If these facilities are closed, or if they decide to take a 2-week break, like, there's a bunch of different ways that they can do it. But apparently, they've said that they're not going to have a situation where they have to stop for a significant period of time, i.e. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, whatever. And it's going to have to move fixtures around. So what they may do, potentially, I don't know, is if they wanted to, they could take the FA Cup fixtures. I think it was Ben Crellin. If you haven't done so already, make sure to follow him on Twitter. He's like the fixture guy to figure stuff out. So if we go to Game Week 38, that's supposed to end in the 23rd of May, which is like less than a month away from when the Euros are supposed to start. What they might do is have like a mini tournament after the Euros for like the quarters or like semis and finals of the FA Cup. They may do that. We'll see. But that's highly unlikely. But in terms of this game week, starts on the Friday. Again, super quick turnaround. So we'll be back tomorrow for a deadline stream because... actually, no. I'll be here for... What am I talking about? I'll be here for the deadline stream because that's a holiday. Let me actually change that really quick on one of my videos because I put that I was going to be doing the stream tomorrow when I don't have to because the deadline stream is on Friday because January 1st is a holiday. So let me go to the comments and change that really quickly. Just bear with me. So it's going to be not Thursday, it's going to be Friday, the 1st of January in the new year 2021, which is hopefully not as crap as 2020 was. And the time that we're going to be doing it at is, so it's midday is the deadline, which means I have to be live at 11 a.m. my time, which is 1 hour ahead of EST, so that's going to be 10 a.m. EST. So I will save that and then pin it. Cool. Done. Yeah, New Year's Eve's tomorrow. Yeah. It's pretty chaotic. I forgot that it was even I forgot that it was a holiday. I mean, we literally had, so I got off work half day on, would have been what, Thursday of last week? I think it was Thursday. Yeah, Thursday of last week. So I basically had 4.5 days off because Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday was the Boxing Day holiday. And half day on the Thursday. It makes 4.5. This week, work week is Tuesday, Wednesday. Tomorrow I'm off half day, so 2.5 work days. And then 3.5 days off again. And then we don't get a holiday until Good Friday in April. All the holidays are towards the end of the year. Public holidays, that is. Obviously, you have vacation days and that sort of stuff. But, yeah, no, can't really plan for anything. So, like, I can have my Burnley players all ready to go versus Fulham. And then they could say on Saturday, oh, yeah, the game versus Burnley is going to be cancelled. And then I'm down 3 players immediately. Then I'd be in trouble. Luckily for me, the players that would be taken out, one of them just had a break, but could potentially have to self-isolate because I think Cancelo was one of the players that tested positive. Kufal got rested, but probably should play versus Everton. But I don't see them keeping a clean sheet there, so he would come in for Taylor. Souček is almost certainly going to play. He'll come in for Chris Wood, and then Johnston would come in for Pope. But then I'd be down to bare bones. I couldn't have any more injuries or anything like that. Cancelo, Stones, Ederson, Jesus, and Torres. I think Walker's on that list as well. I think they said it was 2 players and then it was 4 or 5 players after that. But not entirely sure. But yeah, it's gonna be a bit tricky. But one thing, if there's any lesson that we learned, that's what I might end up doing is a section where it's like lessons learned or like things we should learn like week on week or something like that. Is when you captain somebody, make sure the vice captain is not in the same game, because you can get screwed over. Like, so if I, like, as an example, did this week, just like how people did Kane and Son captain, vice captain, and the Leeds game gets called off, I have no captain. Whether you think it's a good thing to do or not, so like this week I think Fernandes is probably going to be my captain. I'm going to put Salah, who's in a completely different game. Yeah, I mean, Kane and KDB, like, that's just unlucky. That's a bit unlucky. You know, he did it with 2 different games, and those were the 2 games only that got called off. Like, in most scenarios, let's say 2 games get called off. Is it going to be the 2 games for the 2 players that you have in your team? No, probably not. But what we can also do is look at teams that have played against potential teams that have had a COVID outbreak, as an example. So, like, if I have, let's say the game goes ahead against Fulham for my Burnley players. If I wanted to captain them, I probably wouldn't, because of the fact that they've just played a team that's had a COVID outbreak and they could be infected or whatever. Like, let's say for whatever reason I wanted to captain Pope next week or whatever, right? Then I wouldn't probably do that. So since, you know, Bruno's team plays Aston Villa, who, as far as I know, don't have any cases in their team, as well as United, he's probably a safe bet. Has Salah played anyone recently? They just recently played Newcastle, but I think their whole team is pretty much under control. Triple captain Pope, and I'll give 5 subs. I'll think about it. Maybe if he has a double game week versus like Sheffield United and Fulham or something like that, then I'll consider doing it. That'd be pretty funny. But it's not. I mean, I saw. You know, what's even worse. I mean, I consider it if it looks on the cards. I've done crazier things. But like somebody triple captained Kane this week, and who was their vice captain? It was Son. So their triple captaincy chip just went down the drain. I've seen triple captaincy chips on Sadio Mane. What was it? Not last season, but I think the season before that, where he started the game, 10 minutes in, he gets injured, doesn't play the next game. So your triple captaincy chip gets 1 point times 3, which is 3 points total. There's some people that, for whatever reason, decided triple captain Kane, vice captain Son, versus Fulham, when they could have just waited for a double game week or something like that later. And they got 0, which is even worse. So Kane last year, I think, yeah, the same way. Got 1 point, was injured or whatever. But I think my triple captaincy was okay last year. I think I got Vardy plus a bonus point or something like that. It was when he played Bournemouth. And he actually scored like very early in the game, and they ended up losing that game 4-1 or something like that. Which, in hindsight, it was fine, because my captain got a return at least, got a bonus point, so 7 extra points from a triple captaincy is not great, but it's also not terrible either. And Leicester ended up losing that game 4-1. Soyuncu ended up getting sent off, which means he didn't play versus us. They end up dropping points, and United end up going on to get third place. Well, end up top 4 because Leicester was so bad. Katie being the last round, 1 goal, 2 assists. Yeah. So sometimes you strike it lucky, sometimes you don't. Like some people right off the bat, triple captain Salah. If you're doing that, you're looking good because he scored a hat-trick. So was it a lucky hat-trick? Yeah, because he got 2 penalties and a wonder strike. So it obviously comes down to luck whether the player does score or not. Like, I'm saying that Salah, I'm not putting the captaincy on Salah this week, even though if you would have said, out of West Brom, Newcastle, and Southampton, which one is Salah most likely to score in order, I would have said West Brom, because he's at home, Newcastle, because they're the second worst team out of that list of 3, and he's somewhat away from home, and then you have Southampton. Triple captain Grealish versus Liverpool. Yeah, that's like a maniac move. And he got what, 2 goals, 3 assists or something like that? There's probably people last season that triple captain Antonio when he scored 4 versus Norwich, so you know, that's 75 points or whatever it was. 25 times 3 or whatever. Because he got what? 4, 4, 4, 4, 16. Plus 2, 18. Plus 3. No, he was a midfielder at that point. He wasn't a forward, so it would have been 5, 5, 5, 5. So that's 20. Plus 3, because he had a clean sheet. Plus 3 bonus. So it would have been 20. It would have been, what's that, 82? You bench Grealish there? Oh, that's yeah. That's a sad one there. You bench Grealish and he got 20-something points. That's I don't think I've ever had someone on my bench that scored that many points. I don't think. I think the most I've had is like, yeah, plus 2. Yeah, it would have been 26. So 3 bonus plus 3 because he got 60 minutes and a clean sheet. So that's 6 points. And then he got 4 goals, which is 4 times 5, which is 20. So 20 plus 6 is 26. And then times that by 3 is what? 60 plus 18. So 78, whatever it was. Some ridiculous point total. Yeah. Like that, if you got 78 in 1 week, like from your whole team, you're thinking, yeah, that's good. You captained him or triple captained him that week, you had some ridiculous score. So, yeah, it was definitely definitely would have been interesting. But yeah, getting back on the captaincy poll this week, I don't think there's very many good captains, to be honest, even with both teams playing. Like Spurs, yeah, probably versus Leeds, but again, if Leeds score early, Spurs I don't think can like get rid of like the pressure, because for whatever reason they keep subbing off Ndombele, even though he's their best player to beat a press. And it just seems like Jose Mourinho just doesn't like him, even though he starts him. Hey Mono, how's it going? When is the deadline? So the deadline is midday my time on New Year's Day, which is 11 a.m. EST. So for those in the UK, that'll be a 4 p.m. deadline. If you're 1 hour ahead of the UK, that's a 5 p.m. deadline for you guys. So nice and late. So it's gonna be a nice lunchtime stream, or early lunchtime stream, which is gonna be nice. But yeah, Everton, West Ham, and then United versus Villa. I don't think either of those 2 games would be cancelled. Like I said, if there's any game that's going to be cancelled, it's going to be City Chelsea because of City, and Fulham Burnley. So there could be a very boring Sunday potentially if there were any games being cancelled. 59 points a rise, most certainly is. What I need to do for a next stream is I gotta take the graphic. Actually, you know what? I'll do it on stream right now. I gotta find the graphic, because I copied there was an image I had. It was a picture of a green arrow, so I can put it like in front to show like whether I went up or went down. Let me see if I can find it. Other icons. Nope, not there. Nope, not there. Yeah, I have to find it somewhere. And what I'll do is I'll put like the green arrow or red arrow to show if it's like I went up or down that week. Just because there's not enough. Actually, there might be. Let's see. Where is rank? So if I did that to nah, it's not a space really. Yeah, I'll just find the green arrow, red arrow picture and I'll put it up for next time. I've been meaning to do it. My problem is that nearly every one of my players is from the same club. Yeah, that could be a problem. 3 Leeds, 3 West Ham, 2 Spurs, 2 Southampton, 2 City. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at mine, I have this week I had 3 Liverpool, 3 Leeds, 3 Burnley. So had one of those teams not played, I would have been in trouble. I would have been in real trouble. But luckily, Liverpool should be fine because Newcastle seems to have sorted their situation out. And they play Southampton, who played West Ham and seemed to be fine as well. United played Villa. Those two clubs haven't been fine or have been fine. It's Burnley versus Fulham that could be a problem for me because 1, Charlie Taylor could potentially be injured, but 2, they play Fulham, who've had their game cancelled because it was them who cancelled it. I was in trouble. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it depends on who played from West Ham. This going on YouTube soon? Yeah, it'll go on. Go up when basically when I get the chance once I'm done here. Usually takes about an hour after we finish up here. Usually. Cresswell and Souček. So did Cresswell play? I think he played, right? I know Kufal didn't. Bowen was benched as well. Antonio came off the bench, which was interesting. Oh, Cresswell got 6. Okay, then yeah, you're fine for him, and Souček got 3. So not too bad. I think the main problems for most people's teams was Reece James didn't play. Chilwell did. Charlie Taylor, a lot of people had. He got injured. No City players played. So De Bruyne's, the Cancelos, the Stones, the Diaz didn't play. Liverpool played, obviously, which was fine. Everton, a lot of people had Calvert-Lewin. He didn't play. Obviously, all Spurs assets. Some people were bringing in Spurs defenders like Reguilon or Dyer. And they had Son and Kane. They didn't play either. Some people had Areola as a differential double game week goalkeeper. He didn't play either. So, yeah, bit of a sticky situation for them. If that was the case. But again, could be the same situation for me this week. Yeah, the cup starts next round. So I think the score that you needed to have was 37. I think it ended up being 37 points. So basically, as long as your game week rank isn't 4.194 million, then you're okay. Oh, 42? Yeah, you're fine. I'm pretty sure it was 37. I think, if I remember correctly, Live FPL has that on there. on their site to say exactly what cup points. Yeah, the cup 30 qualifying the cup was 37. So if you had 37 or more points, you are okay. Obviously, my team got 59, so we're fine. The thing that I don't know is, does the cup say, as in, you get, so if your team scored 37, regardless of what your hit was, if you took one, that's what I want to know. I'm not sure if how that works. So if you did take a hit, then, you know, does that go against your score? So like, let's say I had, you know, 41 or 40 minus 4, 36. You can take a minus 24 in the cup and still win. I mean, yeah, you can. Oh, so you're saying you could take a minus whatever, as long as your points total was more than the opponent for your team, how much your team got, you win? Is that how it works? Because I'm not sure. I would assume the hits go into it, surely. That would just be weird. Let me see, how does the cup detail work? Yeah, the winner of the team with the highest game week score minus any transfer points. Yeah, if you win the cup, you get so much stuff. That's cool. Interesting. Yeah, because then you could just, like, every week, you could just bring in the best team and you'll win the cup. Pretty much. You could just have a team as long as you're in a situation where you get into the cup that game week, right? You could have 0 points for the week, or 0 points the entire time because the amount of hits that you take. Then, you know, imagine winning FIFA 21 several months after FIFA 20. No, FIFA 22 comes out in like October. It's always like September, October when it comes out. But yeah. I mean, a games console would be nice, because those are hard to come by, so at least for the time being. So a lot of people want it. No one plays FIFA in June. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Mind you, I'm interested to play it because I want to see how the new career mode is, or like the changes they've had. Any update on City or Spurs? I can check for you right now if we have anything. I don't see anything as of yet. But if there was somebody who would announce it, he said the guy Ben Krellin, he said, read the thread if you want to know how crazy things could get with Tottenham versus Fulham if it moves to game week 18. That could be nuts. Because then they would have a double in that game week. Amazon must be close to agreeing on a date with the Premier League, so the announcement should be soon. This was 1 hour ago. Fixture announcements are often made at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. on Fridays. The Game Week 17 deadline is 4 p.m. on Friday. So Yeah, 4 p.m. Friday. I assume that means UK time. Yeah, that's UK time. So basically, when the Game Week 17 deadline is, it's going to be like an hour or two, or an hour, maybe on the same time. They'll announce the fixtures. So that's going to be a bit interesting. Let me read a little bit here. If he says anything here. No, that's just it. Yeah, could be a bit crazy. Subs just came in for you. Let's see. Mine haven't come in yet. That's the only thing I don't like about doing the stream the same day the what's name's finished, unless it's like several hours in advance, because it usually takes a couple hours before the subs come in, and then I can't have the exact game week rank and that sort of stuff. But yeah, updated in terms of City or Spurs, I think they're fine to play their coming fixtures, because I think they've caught it early enough to whereas they know who the players are, and they can isolate them, and then they do rounds of testing up until these game weeks, and then they should be fine. But we'll see. Because like I mentioned at the beginning, there's a chance that United could get a bye straight into the final of the Carabao Cup if City can't fulfill that game. There's a chance that United could play Burnley in game week 18. There's a chance that Spurs could have their game put in game week 18. There's a chance that fixtures from game week 19 can be moved. Who knows? All I know is that City have so many games to play. So, and United could potentially do as well. Aston Villa have 3 games in hand or something crazy like that. Yeah, nothing is basically certain. But if we're gonna find out anything, it's gonna be this week Friday, probably. Buys only last to round 4. That's not necessarily true. So there is a clause where it says if you cannot fulfill the game right then and there up until round 4, you immediately, if you can't play that game immediately when it was scheduled, you basically miss out. The other team gets a bye into the next round. After round 4, they'll do their best to schedule it, but if for whatever reason it cannot be fulfilled due to United says, oh, we can put it in this week, and Spurs says, yeah, well, we can't do that. Then, or City rather, says, yeah, we can't do that because of our fixture schedule. Then stuff has to get changed, or City forfeit. One of the two. But they'll do their best to find a way to mess around and put games where they need to go. But I mean, the Carabao Cup final isn't until April now anyway, so yeah. But yeah, in terms of transfers, we'll go over those quickly just before we sign off. Charlie Taylor being injured is a bit of a problem, and it's either going to be probably Peters or Lowton that comes in for him if he isn't fit. But we'll have to see. And then I was going to do Mane to Rashford as well. That was going to be my initial one transfer for the week. Hopefully Taylor's fine, and if he is, then we can keep him. And then we just put in Rashford. But we'll have to see, because things can get real crazy real fast. So I'm just going to wait till press conferences. I would say everyone wait until the press conferences as late as you can, because everyone's played already. So everyone's press conferences should be... So Everton, West Ham, Villa, and United will have theirs before the deadline. They'll probably have them tomorrow. I would say all the teams on Saturday will probably have theirs tomorrow as well. The real problem is that the Sunday fixtures might have the press conference on Friday, but could be too close to the deadline. We'll have to see. And Liverpool, Southampton, Klopp will probably have his press conference embargoed after this game, so we'll probably get it before then anyway. So we should be okay, press conference-wise. But there is a worry for these Sunday fixtures, and those are the two main ones, Chelsea, City, and Fulham, Burnley. But we'll probably know before that. Oh, New Year's Day, yeah. So if anything, they'll have it embargoed, or they'll be forced to do it a day before on the Thursday. One of the two. So yeah, so it should be fine. So these teams on Sunday, they're not gonna have a press conference on the Saturday because they never do. So they're all gonna have it tomorrow on Thursday, or they'll have had it after their game today. So like in terms of like Newcastle and Liverpool, they'll probably have their stuff embargoed. So like Klopp may do his press conference for the Southampton game on Monday today, as it were, and they just embargo it and release it on Friday morning or Thursday evening or whatever. But yeah, that's the team for the time being. It's not really going to change too much. We'll be here on the deadline stream as per normal. Let's go over to the big camera here. Go over to the big screen. But yeah, blanks galore. Double game weeks galore. I think I saw a meme on Twitter which was saying, can't wait to triple captain Aguero in his quadruple game week, which would be pretty nuts. But yeah, this is going to be up on YouTube in about an hour's time, whenever it finishes, basically uploading. So make sure to come check us out over on YouTube if you want to watch the rest of it. Thank you all for joining us in the chat. Thank you as per normal. Make sure to follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, we'll be back for the deadline stream, which is, just for those wondering again, the deadline is midday my time. I'm 1 hour ahead of EST, which means the deadline is 11, or the stream will start 11 a.m. my time. So that means I'll be up at that time, which is 10 a.m. EST. That is when the stream will start. Just make sure to come check on your fantasy, like, Premier League page, see what time it is. We'll be up an hour before that. So, but yeah, it's a 4 o'clock p.m. deadline for the UK. So whatever that is in your time zone, that is when the deadline is. We'll be up 1 hour before that. So yeah, that's going to do it for us. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, take care.